Hello viewers, Super GT here, and we're going to be asking a very essential question in today's video, and that is it possible to have a good race around the noob city of Yas Marina? Off the line, I'm going to go very defensive into turn 1, just to hold off this BMW, and it just about works out to plan. So keeping 4th position. So as you can see, using the good old Aston Martin GT3, which was recently added. You may well have seen the recent video as I go for a cut, as I was kind of pushed into it, keeping the position. So another video in the Aston Martin. I really enjoyed using this car, so I thought I'd bring you 2 videos. You know, why the hell not? And we come then to the boringness, the boring nature of Yas Marina. I'm up the inside of the Porsche. Yas Marina is typically quite, well, no, not quite, a very bad circuit, I think. But, you know, is it possible, maybe, to have a good race around here if, you know, you're surrounded by some good drivers? If you're surrounded by some good drivers, as, well, I prove that I'm not one of them, as I go a little bit wide there, and now I'm on the back foot. I've always thought that if you have some good drivers with you, you can kind of have a good race anywhere. As long as the driving is respectful and close, I think you can have a good race anywhere. Of course, there are still better tracks to have races at, but we'll see here if we can do something good. Because the first 2 guys, the guy in the BMW in the first place, is very quick. We've got TX3 Mellish, you may well recognise the name. Second place, he's also using the Aston Martin. Dawn of the DOS there in the Porsche, very quick driver. A bit further back, who may feature later on, AMS Roadrunner, so a big name in Forza Motorsport. So obviously starting a bit further back on the grid, and he'll be looking to get further forward later on in this race. So far, a fairly uneventful first lap by Yas Marina standards. Normally we've got about 4,000 explosions, 8 million deaths. So nothing quite like that to report thus far, which is good news. So the race has settled down, which is always good to see. The top 2 are getting away, although I just spy in the distance that they were alongside each other, and now that is good to see because it essentially means they're overtaking each other, battling, fighting, which means that we should be able to catch them up as long as we're roughly evenly paced. We shall see. But of course my first job here is to try and catch up with the Porsche. So I made a bit of a mistake on lap number 1, we got a bit of a gap, but through here catching right back up and look up the inside to the next corner. Now I'll just say it now, there will be some corner cuts. Sometimes I will cut corners slightly. Now I would say my reasoning for that is, well, I mean, when you're trying to really push the limits on a circuit, you're going to sometimes, you know, hit it perfectly. Sometimes you'll just be a bit wide, but then sometimes you'll cut it slightly. Basically because, you know, you can't take everything perfectly. So sometimes you're going to be a little bit wider than you want, and sometimes you're going to cut a little bit more than you want. Not really through intention, just through the fact that I'm a human and not a robot. So there will be a few cuts here and there, but there will also be a couple of mistakes, I suppose, to balance it out. But on the whole, I think everyone here, they respect the track limits as much as possible. And it is very easy around here to cut. I mean, you would have seen in my Forza 6 series, the corner cut championship, if you like. I did a lap around a couple of tracks, obeying the limits as much as possible, and then I also did a lap where you cut as much as possible. Now this is one of the shorter configurations of Yas Marina, but around the full version, I saved a full 9 seconds just by extending and cutting everything. So there's a lot of time to be gained, but nothing like that is going to be seen in this one. So through the chicane, you can see there plenty of battling, and Mellish, I sensed that he had to get right on the anchors on the exit to avoid contact. So that has brought myself and Dawn into this battle. So the top 2 fights becomes now a top 4 fight as the Porsche just swipes across the bottom of the screen. Close to contact, but not quite enough. So lap 3 now, a third of the way into the race nearly. And the race is brewing up very nicely. Looking at the map as well, there's a big battle behind. So from 5th to maybe about 11th or 12th, there seems to be a good big battle there. So that's good to see. And it's always good to see a race with small field spread. That kind of suggests that there is a close race going on. When you get these X-Class races and 2,000 people spin off on the first corner, the race spreads out very quickly and you don't really get some close racing at all. But here, it seems to be very close indeed. As I go a little bit wide on the exit of the final corner, probably slowing me down if anything, taking too much curb. Into turn 1, the car just gliding through here very nicely. Having to be very careful on the throttle. We saw that in the previous video. The car does tend to oversteer if you get on the throttle a little bit too early and too eagerly. Into the little cut through section, the corkscrew section. Not my favourite area really. And on the exit here, you can see everyone kind of does it. You kind of cut that weird little curb, but it doesn't flash as dirty in the game. So I'd assume that is okay, and everyone does it, so it's the same for everyone. So no worries at all. And then into the chicane, we are very close now. This battle is getting very close. I've got a good exit. I'm in the same car as Mellish, of course, but I don't have the same tune. We'll see if I'll be able to get the upper hand down this back straight. It doesn't seem as though I can. I'm perhaps a bit too far back to go for that lunge, so I'm not going to go for it. And yeah, the pack really getting very close now. I think the Italian in the lead, perhaps starting to feel that pressure from Mellish. I actually cut that corner a little bit, but the curb kind of unsettles the car. And you can see I drop about 100 feet with a poor momentum on the exit. Coming into the final sector. Now this is the kind of the nature of the circuit really comes out strongly in this final sector, because pretty much every corner on this track is just a point. There's no really like nice long curved corners, something like Parabolica, Monza or something like that. It's all like very pointy, jagged corners. I suppose the only nicely curved corners are turn 2 and 3. But skipping ahead, this is lap number 5 now, so a bit of drama is actually going to unfold as we head towards the hotel. Double apex corner on the entry, and it's just caught out Mellish. So it just got caught on the curb. So plenty of curbs around here, pretty much. The curbs are pretty much everywhere here. And it just caught him out. You can just grab 2 wheels on the end of the curb and it will just kind of push you wide, and your braking performance will be affected. So Mellish, with one mistake there, has cost him 2nd place. So I'm going to move up to inherit that. So you can see the gap there to the Italian in the lead, maybe a second or 2 as he crosses the line to begin the 6th lap. And then 1 lap later, perhaps about the same. This is the end of lap number 7. So the gap fairly constant. This is the thing I love about this hopper, the endurance hopper. It's not just about a mad melee on lap 1 and hoping for the best. It's about getting into the race, settling down and trying to set some really fast, consistent times. And it really does test you if you're up against some good people like this guy is here. He's very quick indeed. Into the pit lane. I'm going to follow him in, and well, I'm just going to kill myself. I'm driving into this weird extension on the edge of the pit wall. So I was really trying to maximise my entry, and I completely forgot that there's some massive, I don't even know what that is. It's just some weird thing on the edge of the pit lane. So I've really cost myself a shot at this race, as my car had to be reset in the pit lane. But the action continues nevertheless, as we have now AMS Roadrunner on our tail. So we have 2 laps, or just under 2 laps now, to try to hold off the current Forza RC champion. So that's going to be no easy task. But if I just drive to my lines, hit my braking points, and just just be consistent basically. There's not much people can do, even if they're about a second quicker. If you just hold your line and just hit your markers and don't get phased too much by their presence, then there's not much they can do unless they've got a really good tune, particularly on the straights or on the brakes, where they can just outbrake you or outdrag you. There's little they can do. I make a mistake there, overcorrecting some oversteer that wasn't really there at all, driving wide, but still keeping the position. And in fact, there's 2 people on me now, so double the pressure. I am in 5th place, although I sense that there is one person still to go into the pit lane, so I should be in 4th. Roadrunner looking around the outside. I was wide there, and you've got to worry about the cutback, as I did go very narrow into the corner, and it didn't quite materialise. So second to last corner, hitting that one very nicely, and into the final corner, that proximity arrow glowing ever orange, just hinting that he's right on me and he wants to get by, and he might as well go for it now that it is the last lap. So there we go, up into 4th place. So we've got our 4th place back at least. And it's just a shame that we don't have a shot at winning this race. And looking at the looking at the positions, TX3 Mellish has just got back into the lead, so he's done enough to inherit his race lead. So just looking ahead there, I don't know if you can quite see it, but they were nose to tail. They were right on each other, with Dawn maybe a couple of car lengths off, and Roadrunner has just disappeared completely. So down into the chicane for the final time, hitting the apex nicely. This chicane is so awkward, and it can really throw your car about, so you've got to be really careful on the throttle, especially through that corner. And then rounding out the corner, proceeding the straight and then the double apex right into the hotel. I think I've done enough, barring any big mistakes around this section. A little bit wide, that will affect me, will affect my run into here. Going very narrow, and again you have to worry about that cutback, so just thinking about going defensive. Don't quite go for it. The battle very close up there. You can see the top 3 nose to tail, and it's just a shame that I could not be part of it. There's a back marker actually in front as well. So even though I wasn't quite part of it at the end there, it was a very good race until we went into the pit lane and I messed it all up for myself. But I'm happy to report though that the top 3 went over the line in 3 different cars, nose to tail, after 20 minutes of racing. So that is good. So Yas Marina, yeah, it can provide some good racing. So perhaps it isn't the track, it is just the drivers. So then, we move to Silverstone. Will we have any better luck here? Or will the pit lane once again dent my pride? We're about to find out at Silverstone short version. This guy comes back for a rejoin, and then he gets rebuffed by the Italian, who's not having any of it. Into the first corner, I brake a little bit late. I'm going to go around the outside, go wide. And this Audi comes out of nowhere. And, well, it's only taken 30 seconds and 2 corners before I get punted. So not a good beginning to this race at all. But it does give us a good opportunity now to try to get some overtaking practice at least. So, I mean, of course I don't want to get punted off ever, but sometimes it can make the race more interesting, because you have, of course, a lot more to do. It's just a shame because there's some good people in there. I would have loved to have battled them near the front. So I'm going to take another tactic here. There's plenty of traffic. So I'm going to take my pit stop now and rejoin in dead last. So a long way back. And the good point is that I'm in clear air. So now I can just get my head down, set some clean, fast laps, and then hopefully by the time some other guys start pitting, in fact there's a couple of people pitting now, hopefully once some of these guys come out, then I should get ahead. But let's go forward. Now this is a problem that I'm encountering a little bit more. I got the inside, and I mean, I don't even know what the hell happened there. I mean, in fact I do know, I can tell you what happened. The game isn't syncing us together properly, so he basically couldn't see me, so I just didn't exist on his screen. So that's why his car basically wasn't affected by my movement at all. So it's weird how it works, but he could affect me, but I couldn't affect him. So up into the 21st, so I'm not last at least. and going to try to catch back up with this guy, and hopefully somehow tiptoe past him without him punting me off. I mean, inadvertently. I guess if he can't see me, it's not really his fault. But so I'm going to go to the left this side this time, into the first corner. Just grazed that curb, and it just unsettles the car. So I'd take a very bad run. Perhaps a little bit nervous that he was going to do the same thing again, although albeit inadvertently. But I make the same mistake, and he seems to be going defensive. So it's weird. I don't know if he can see me or not. I guess judging by that contact, he couldn't. And so through the long left, and by judging by this, he can't see me because it seems really strange. He's just punting me a bit wide. I don't think he'd do that deliberately. I mean, lots of people do that deliberately, but I just don't think he is doing it. Onto the old main straight, or this is the main straight of this circuit configuration. Just look at this. I tried to push him, and you can see there, he basically wasn't affected at all. So he definitely can't see me. We are not in sync with each other at all. Slow Audi just lets us both go past. So up into 18th, the height of the race so far, 18th position. But we do still have plenty of laps, a 24 lap race in store here. So we're going to move ahead to lap number 10. Now just very quick, oh, there's actually someone flipped over there, so that's a bad omen. With a back marker just sitting casually next to his prey, as if he's a lion who's just eaten a gazelle. But I was just about to say, my voice might sound weird. I've got a bit of a cold, so my voice probably sounding a little bit different than normal. I don't have a new microphone. It's just my voice is a little bit different. But then here we are, 11th place, and we've got a nice big group ahead. So there's a group of 3, and then just ahead of that, a couple more cars. So I'm always monitoring the map just to see exactly what kind of groups we're going to come up to and what we have to contend with. Of course, it's harder, I think, to contend with a group of cars compared to one car, as you know, if you're sandwiched in between cars, it's just harder to be clean and tidy and, you know, not get affected by someone. There's a massive extend there, to be honest. And I won't shy away from showing that one. Now into the second corner, on the brakes nice and late. Going to keep it in third gear here. So a couple of people asking in the previous video, why am I not shifting down to second in some corners, but the car does oversteer easily coming out the corners. So keeping it in a higher gear can just minimise that effect, so negating the oversteer, the wheel spin on the corner exit by staying in a higher gear. This guy goes very narrow, or very wide coming into this one. So I'm up the inside, he leaves a massive space. So up into 13th, making steady progress back through the pack. We've had plenty of setbacks so far. So of course the initial punt on lap 1, and then the separate incident after the pit stop. So that's lost us plenty of time. But if we can get back through to a top 10, I think that we've done very well. Currently residing in 12th, so not too many positions more to go. We can see a couple of positions as someone lays down a smoke screen into the right-hander. So a train of 3. In fact, there's about 5-6 cars just ahead of us on this straight, including a back marker at the head of it. So of course that back marker could make things interesting. Into the left at the end of the straight, a crucial corner, I think, a very good overtaking opportunity, and it does set you up for this corner, which is also a good overtaking opportunity. So you can see they're going wide initially, and then coming back for a straighter exit. I think that's a good tactic to use to, I mean, as I say, the car oversteers when you put the throttle down, so taking a straighter line can help you with that. So through Cop's corner, taking it pretty much perfectly on the back of the Ferrari. Very slow. Has he seen me? I'm going to move to the left. You just worry for that split second as you got up the inside, as someone goes very wide. You just worry for that split second. Has he seen me, or is he going to turn in? And are we going to have a big accident? Fortunately, this time he did just see me coming. So good awareness. So then up into the top 10. Well, we can go a couple of places better here, I sense, as we do have 2 cars immediately ahead of us, and then a bit of a gap to... Oh, actually, that guy's going to go into the pit lane. So then that's 7th place into the pit. So we're going to inherit 9th place now. Yeah, as we then cross the line to begin the 15th lap of 24. So approaching the 2/3 mark of the race. There's going to be little chance of a top 5. I think the top 5 are long gone, but a top 7 is on the cards. You can see 7th isn't too far away, just maybe a second or two. And again, as I said at Yas Marina or Noob City, these races are good because you get into a rhythm. You're trying to set fast laps as the BMW goes very defensive, and that's going to give me the invitation to go around the outside. And here he's just going to give me the space. So again, good awareness from him. On the exit, he's going to look for that cutback. I just about give him a car whip, and he moves within that space very well, but it isn't enough to get the cutback. So up into 8th with maybe a couple of seconds to gain until we're on to the back of 7th place. Through Copse Corner, pretty much on terms with that corner at this point of the race. So we've gone through there 16 times. You ought to be knowing where you're going to brake at that corner now. So a little bit wide this time through here, but again, you can't do everything perfectly as it was in Yas Marina, albeit this track is a little bit easier. So then, through Copse Corner, 17th time now. I sense that we are gaining, and I sense that I'm saying that I sense things too often. But then into the next corner, very good on the brakes. I know exactly where I'm braking there. Just as we graze the curb on the left, he's got a massive portion of oversteer. He's going to go defensive. He knows that I'm coming for that position. So I'm going to hold him narrow. I'm going to keep him to the left-hand side as much as possible. Then at the last minute, move to the right. That forces him into the corner very narrow, where he does not want to be, and he's too late on the brakes. When you're going into a corner that narrow, you have to brake earlier than what you would if you're wide. And he clearly hasn't allowed for that, so he drifts wide. The space opens up on the exit, and I'm up into 7th place. So let's see if we can defend this position, as I don't think I'm going to get into my favourite position of 6th place. The gap is nearly 2,000 feet, so it's unlikely that that is going to happen in this one. So then into turn 2, braking just as you hit the apex for the left, kink, and hitting the apex very nicely for the right. It's crucial to get on that power as early as possible through that one while you're turning, and we are away. You see the gap there opening up very quickly. So then the back markers, I suppose, are the only thing that can really ruin it for me. So this one, he went very, very wide going into Copse Corner, which really isn't the line you want to take. I go past him very easily. You do have to just kind of cross your fingers as you go into here, hoping that proximity arrow doesn't immediately glow orange a split second before he rams you in the rear end. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case, because I then come round on that 24 to win. I tried to flip the car over, but the sand slows you down a lot quicker than I thought. So there are the results, and I was actually half a second off the fastest lap, which is quite worrying, but it was a good race in the end and a good little comeback. And I do hope you enjoyed the video. As always, guys, do let me know your thoughts. Smash the like button if you enjoyed, and subscribe for more of the same. I shall see you next time. Thank you for watching. As always, goodbye.